I give the floor to His Excellency António Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations.
Mr. President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank the President of the General Assembly for convening this important dialogue, the first of three in the coming months. From day one of the Pact for the Future's adoption, the President has been its active champion. I deeply appreciate your efforts, Mr. President, and your leadership. Excellencies, adopting the Pact was the beginning of the process, not the end. And today I want to focus on what we have done over the last 6 months and what we need to do. We face a long list of challenges. Conflicts and climate disasters are intensifying. Sustainable development goals are far off track, as is the funding required to achieve them. Geopolitical divisions and mistrust are blocking effective action, with some actively questioning the value of international cooperation and the multilateral system itself. But let me be very clear. It is exactly because of these divides and this mistrust that the Pact for the Future and the two parallel documents are more important than ever. And the bigger the obstacles, the bigger will be my determination to make things move forward in line with the will expressed by the Member States in the Summit of the Future. Meanwhile, critical funding is being drastically cut for people in desperate need, with more reductions to come. Resources are shrinking across the board, and they have been for a long time. From day one of my mandate, we embarked on an ambitious agenda to become more effective and cost-effective across our organization. Earlier this month, I announced the UN 80 initiative to continue this work and intensify it. We are reviewing efficiencies and improvements to current arrangements, the implementation of mandates handed down by Member States, and structural changes and program realignment. All these will contribute for a more effective implementation of the Pact of the Future. Excellencies, we have wasted no time moving into the implementation phase of the Pact. From an operational perspective, we established a principal-level steering committee, which I chair, overseeing 6 working groups focused on action and reforms in key areas: sustainable development goals, acceleration, peace and security, international financial architecture, digital technologies, UN governance, and youth. We have created 2 task teams focusing on future generations and the need to look beyond GDP as a measure of progress and guide to policy making. And we are establishing an internal tracking system to monitor our progress on Pact implementation. Today, I would like to report on our efforts since the Pact was adopted and outline the work ahead in 4 areas. First, peace and security. United Nations peace operations help safeguard people and communities in some of the most desperate corners of the world. The Pact represents a commitment to strengthen tools to prevent and address conflict, to ensure that our peace efforts respond to new and emerging threats. In November, I issued a report on peace building, which included concrete suggestions to strengthen the Peace Building Commission and Fund. And we are actively working on the second independent progress study on the positive contribution of young people to peace processes. And we are progressing on a review of all forms of peace operations as requested in the Pact. Our recent proposals to the Security Council regarding Haiti are a case in point where new approaches can be developed to complex security challenges. The review will be an opportunity to help adapt peace operations to today's realities and ensure they're guided by clear and sequenced mandates that are realistic and achievable, with viable exit strategies and transition plans. It will also recognize the limitations of our operations where there is little or no peace to keep. We'll also continue pushing forward on other peace-related priorities of the Pact, including disarmament commitments around nuclear, biological and chemical weapons, lethal autonomous weapons, and the growing weaponization of outer space. And we will continue advocating, including through intergovernmental negotiations process, for the Pact's call to make the Security Council more representative of today's world and more effective in the capacity to promote peace in the world. Second, finance for development. Since the Pact's adoption, we have taken on several fronts. For example, our resident coordinators and country teams are now mapping out how we can accelerate progress at the national levels in close cooperation with the governments. We have begun analysing the impact of military expenditure on the achievement of the SDGs and our own work at the UN, with a final report out by September. The expert group called for in the Pact to develop measures of progress that go beyond gross domestic product will soon be announced and will work throughout the year before an intergovernmental process takes over in 2026. And we have been working closely with the World Bank and the IMF to follow up on the Pact's action points, addressing improvements to the international financial system. Developing countries must be represented fairly in the governance of the very institutions they depend on. And we know the environment is not favourable, but we must not give up. Since the Pact's adoption, I have also established an expert group to identify practical steps for action on debt. In the coming weeks, they will propose a list of achievable outcomes, and release a full report in June in advance of the Financing for Development conference in Spain. Debt relief is a central issue if we want the implementation of the Pact of the Future a reality. At the same time, we will continue advocating to increase the lending capacity of multilateral development banks to make them bigger and bolder. And this includes both stretching their balance sheets and recapitalization. And we must ensure that concessional finance is deployed where it is most needed. Many of these actions depend on decisions of other multilateral institutions and of member states, but we will not relent in our constant advocacy for what the Pact of the Future has clearly indicated as the way to pursue. 3. Youth and future generations. Our efforts must deliver for young people and the generations to come. The Pact's central promise to young people is to listen to their concerns and ideas and including them at the decision-making table. Following the establishment of the UN Youth Office in 2022, young people played a key role in shaping the Pact's priorities. With the Pact's adoption, we are now progressing towards establishing a youth investment platform to ensure that national funding mechanisms and investment platforms are focused on the needs of young people. And we are developing core principles to strengthen youth engagement across our work at the United Nations, including by broadening the representation of younger colleagues within our organizational structures. Through the Declaration on Future Generations, we are also looking to the generations yet to be born. We have established a strategic foresight network and community of practice to ensure our policies, programs and field operations are based on long-term thinking. And later this year, I will appoint a special envoy for future generations to scale up these efforts.
Fourth, technology. We're implementing the Global Digital Compact's calls to close all digital divides and ensure all people benefit from a safe and secure digital space. Artificial intelligence is a particular focus. We're developing a report on innovative voluntary financing options for AI capacity building to help the Global South harness this technology, AI, for the greater good, taking into account the recommendations of my high-level advisory body. The Zero Draft Resolution to establish the International Independent Scientific Panel on AI and convene a global dialogue on AI governance was also circulated last week, thanks to the work of the co-facilitators, Spain and Costa Rica. I urge the General Assembly to act swiftly to establish this panel and ensure that AI expertise and knowledge are available to all countries while supporting the global dialogue. The UN system stands ready to support this work. Excellencies, as we push for these priorities, we're also improving the efficiency and effectiveness of our operations as called for by the Pact. Last fall, we undertook a comprehensive assessment across UN entities to harness the potential of innovation, data analytics, digital transformation, and foresight across our work as called for in the UN 2.0 initiative. We're already seeing results. From speeding up disaster assessments in the Asia-Pacific, to strengthening social security programs in Malawi, to consolidating information technology functions across the UN system. This work, where data is an essential issue to ensure that we can better manage this data, this work must continue, especially in light of the funding challenges we must face. We're counting on your support as we move forward. Excellencies, as we reshape the multilateral system for the challenges of today's world, the Pact for the Future is an essential part of this process of constant renewal. We cannot dilute our efforts. We need to sustain the same spirit and determination in which the Pact was forged and adopted. We count on you to inform, inspire, and guide the implementation work ahead. Once again, thank you for your ideas and commitment.
I thank the Secretary General